These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Tuesday, February 21st, in the midst of the NBA All-Star break. On the pregame show, if you're a loyal listener, I waved around and bragged about beating the COVID allegations because somebody in my house tested positive. Little did I know, 2 days later, I failed, and I did test positive. I did get sick, unfortunately, and so that kind of wiped away all my All-Star break plans. Excuse me. I'm a little loopy. Needless to say, I am not exactly completely with it. My girlfriend was supposed to come visit from Ireland. She got to the airport, found out I had COVID, and had to go home. That sucked.
Yeah, it's tough. That was the first thing
tough.
I said to you when you texted me that you got COVID. I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
like this is the worst time for you to find out that you had COVID.
Uh-huh.
This is really the
Yeah.
day of.
Yeah. So I don't know if we're gonna get a refund on that plane ticket either, which is even worse because she already got through security. But not the end of the world. It sucks. But there is that. Future apologies to the YouTube watchers. If you see me go like this every once in a while, I don't use chapstick because chapstick is a scam, and so my lips have become just obscenely cracked and like very painful. So I'm like,
why do you say it's a scam? I don't really use chapstick either.
Well,
but
I used to use it a lot in high school
because take on chapstick.
No. So my lips would get really cracked in like high school and middle school and when I was younger, and so I would use chapstick. But chapstick fixes the problem. What's the word? Temporarily, yeah. Yes, but then it dries out your lips again, so you have to use more of it. So you get caught in an endless cycle. And so, like,
you're saying it's like a Dasani situation.
Yes, this is a very exaggerated way to put it, but I became like addicted to chapstick. Like I couldn't go anywhere without my chapstick, right? Because it kept like drying out my lips again. So
now
I refused.
Clean.
Yeah, sure. But I refuse to use it now. So like, excuse me if I'm sitting here like desperately trying to fix my cracked, painful upper lip. And yeah, I feel like shit, to be perfectly honest.
All right.
I have 3 different beverages here.
We're back.
The big water bottle jug. I've got a coffee that I stole off my mom, who also had COVID, so it's fine. It is what it is.
What are you gonna do?
I also have
Get more sick? Don't think
tea,
so.
Some tea right here. So we've got it all here at the desk. An unfortunate All-Star weekend for Jack, but we're here and we're recording.
We made it.
Yeah.
It is Tuesday. It is midweek when you're listening to this. It'll be Wednesday. Perhaps you'll be on the way to your job, and maybe by the time you listen, you'll be done for the day. Who knows? That'd be great, wouldn't it? Closer to the weekend.
Yes. How was your All-Star break, Sam?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I kept busy because we didn't have anything to do. I knew Jack was sick. There wasn't really much to talk about. I mean, now we'll do a show for you. Don't worry about it. But seriously, Saturday was a day. Saturday, I wake up, I go for a run, half run, because I know I'm a bit sore in the knee. Come back. It is a very much a struggle to walk up the steps. Don't know why. Day goes on, whatever. Try and keep it loose. Go out to dinner with my friend. It's hurting to walk to the car. Now, here's where the problem is. All week, I have been excited. Saturday is the day you go out with the fellas. We've been blossoming out a bit. We've been going out to clubs, things like that. Now, you may look at me and say,
look at you go.
I really don't think you would go to the club, and I'd say me neither. But we went out. So really never thought at 24 I'd wear a knee brace underneath my jeans, but I did. I had to wear the knee brace out.
That's tough.
So we go to friend's house, wait for everybody to get there, get an Uber.
Mm-hmm.
Never taken an Uber before.
Whoa.
No, because I don't drink, so I just drive.
You've never taken an Uber before. What is this? 24 years old? 23 years old? 24?
I've never I just drive.
Wow.
I just didn't feel like, my car's not big enough for all 6 of us, so we had to get Uber XL.
Insane.
The Uber gets to the building. It is not an Uber XL.
Tough.
The friend that has ordered the Uber XL is furious.
Well, yeah.
The driver is furious because we're not going in the car, so he has wasted gas.
Of course.
Go back upstairs.
Well, it's his fault for classifying his car as an Uber XL when it's not.
I think it's the app's fault. I'm not convinced anybody was at fault.
Okay. Okay.
Go back upstairs. Uber XL gets there fine.
Mm-hmm.
Driver takes a very backwards way to get to where we're going.
Sure.
But we get there. Go inside. Very busy. I am typically not one to enjoy extremely packed places. I'm not claustrophobic. I just don't like it when I can't move and when I can't hear my friends or have a conversation, right?
Sure. Yes.
I mean, I had a good time. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But typically, this is not a situation where I'm having a good time. So I
Yes,
go in,
I
we
hate
go in.
crowds.
They want to get drinks, so I'm standing there, and we end up we start dancing. It's packed. You barely move. We're trying to keep a space for all the fellas.
Sure.
There's 6 of us, so we're trying to keep. We met some people there too, so we're trying to keep like a little bit of an area. And people are getting pushed around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, guys, we got to box out here. It's like the fourth quarter. You got to box out. Make sure you secure the rebound. It's really what it
Yes,
was.
something the Celtics are not good at, but yes, continue.
So I am standing there dancing, and I feel this pressure on my back.
Oh no.
Somebody is trying to force our circle in.
Of course.
Now, me
yeah.
just have given this speech. I can't allow this.
You can't
So
get
I
in
am
easily.
I am holding my ground.
Yep.
I have not moved backwards, but
Of course.
I'm not moving.
Yeah.
One thing about me, I may not be big up top. My legs are strong. Legs are strong. Do a lot of running. Not being moved. Then the person tries to pull the chair on me.
That's tough.
Can you believe that? The chair.
Yeah. Did you fall?
No, I survived. Didn't
There
even
you go.
budge. I was ready. I was like, it would really suck if they try to pull the chair. And I was ready. They try and pull a chair. Then I hear this voice. And they say, you're going to push me hurt. It's this girl that is built like a house.
Oh no.
And she's battling with me for the position. And I'm like, I don't know what you want of me. I'm standing here, not moving. And she's flipping out. And I'm
Was
like,
she
"Listen."
rude? Was she
Oh,
rude?
yeah, she was rude.
Okay.
She threatened to beat my ass, which I could have done nothing because what am I going to do, hit her back? No.
Yeah.
You can't.
Can't do that.
It was quite the scene. It was just remarkable.
Stop.
Like, what do you want me to do?
What did
are
you
pushing
say?
Me. I was like, what do you want of me? You're pushing me. I'm not moving.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. I have my knee brace on. We go through the rest of the night. Some of the PC men's basketball players in the house. I believe someone said AJ Reeves was there.
Wow.
Who's not very good.
Okay.
AJ Reeves.
Poor guy.
So later in the
leave him
day,
be.
I go to go to the bathroom. I go pee. I go in. 2 PC guys walk in with me.
Sure.
I cannot pee. I know I'm the least equipped in the bathroom. I'm not competing with the fellas. I'm not. So I can't pee. I just leave. Didn't drink anything the whole night. Didn't even have a water because it was so packed. And my ears were
Sure.
ringing through yesterday. So what an experience that was.
Yeah, I can't do crowded places either. We can go long. So it's the All-Star break. There's not much to talk about. Let's go with some stories today. I also, if you see me going like this at all, I am desperately trying to cool down some tea I have.
Jack is just doing lines to stay awake. I meant to get coffee. Speaking of like energizing yourself.
Burning my tongue. It is brutal. I had to take the top off because it was just too. It's burning my tongue. Anyways, so if you're longtime listeners of us, you know my friend Danny Hanley from the Within Heckling Distance podcast we should bring back, but we just don't have the time. It's a good show. Fun show.
I don't know if we have the audience yet.
Maybe not. We could build it though. TikTok, this stuff. There's plenty of ways. Anyways, Danny is a very social person, and he loves going out, as does Liam, another member of the show. If you're a long time listener, and I think we privated the video, so you can't watch them. Maybe I'll unprivate them.
Probably for the best, actually.
yeah. To protect the brand.
I was thinking about something we talked about the other day, and I was like, "Ooh, we shouldn't have talked about that."
Yeah, no. Anyways, Danny, I rarely go out. Almost never. One weekend I was feeling okay. It was like, you know what? I'll be social. I was feeling particularly social, so I decided to go out with Danny, accept his invitation. We were going out for a mutual friend's birthday. Now, started off the day, I woke up very early. We went to watch the USA Netherlands game at a bar. Very fun. Had fun with Danny and some of his friends from college. No, this was December, November. I forget when the game was, but it was the end of last year. Then I chilled at Danny's for the day, took a nap because it was, early for me and I was tired.
Jack woke up at noon. Tough day.
No. The game was at 8, so I woke up at like 6
Okay.
to go in there. So
Okay,
it was
okay.
early for most people, but very
Yes.
early for me. And I didn't go to bed till like 4 or something ridiculous because, of course. Anyways, spend the day at Danny's, blah, blah, blah. We go out that night. Now, I know most of the people there. However, there are excuse me, I sound like a seal there. There are also people there who are exclusively friends with, the person's birthday, who it was, or with Danny, or et cetera, et cetera. So like they're talking to them, and if they're talking to them, I don't have anybody to talk to because I don't know those people. And I'm not social enough to just go up and introduce
It's
myself.
a disaster situation.
Yeah, it's tough. So, and I don't like drinking. I will. I know you don't drink, but I'll drink. Like I'll have some beers. I have nothing against it. I just don't do it often because my thing is if I don't like the taste, I don't really care enough to do it. And so I had some beers that night. Whatever. I was cool. It was fine. But after we pre-gamed at the apartment, which was fine. I talked to a couple of my friends. It was okay. We went out to the bar, and at the bar, everyone was just sitting around, people talking to other people I didn't know. So my awkward self ended up just standing there for maybe 2 hours. Literally just standing there doing
All right.
It was horrendous.
That's what I would do.
It was a completely packed bar. There was no space anywhere. We found ourselves in a corner at a table. It was absolutely awful. I hated it. And when I went back to Danny's, I slept there. It was fine. Me, him, and one of his buddies. It was cool. Whatever. The next morning, Danny was like, I'll see you later, man. I go, maybe not. I don't think I'll be doing this anytime soon. Not a fan. I can't do it. Not like you said, the club thing. When you were in college,
it was like a club bar.
Sure. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking
Very
about.
packed.
Yeah.
Very hot.
Brutal. It's tough. When I went to my freshman year of college, I didn't drink in high school or anything, but like I got to college, I was like, you know what, I'll drink, I'll be social, whatever. And so we went to clubs, we went out, we did stuff like that. Not a fan. I couldn't do it. Like I would hang out in my small circle. It was fun when I was drunk enough for it to be fun. But then once I realized I don't exactly like drinking, then it just wasn't worth it sober because it wasn't fun at all. I don't understand it. It's just like it never clicked with me. I just don't think I'm built that way. I don't get it.
See, I'm like a real psycho because I don't drink and I still have like a lot of fun.
They can't.
Like I went to a wedding in September and I realized I was like, oh man, like dancing's like actually a lot of fun.
Oh, I can't.
So I went out a couple weeks ago and like they were like, we're gonna go upstairs to the dance floor, and I was like, okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
And there comes a point where I peel back. I realize everybody around me is trashed. I'm like crazy, and I mean, we do these shows. I have it in me to be nuts.
Sure.
I've got it in me enough, funny or crazy or social. So, or maybe social I do. But like I can dance. Like I was going nuts. Glad I wore the knee brace. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. The only, you had one girl staring at me the whole time. It was terrible. This other girl tried to talk to me and my other friend, and I couldn't hear a word she was saying.
Yeah, you do. It's deafening.
Yeah, I was like, what am I supposed to do? And I was not interested. But like, what am I supposed to do if I am interested? Like, seriously,
very awkward. See, the only times I ever went to club was when I was with like a girl that I was already talking to. Like
that's what everybody says.
You know what I'm saying?
So they do that.
Yeah. I would go out and I'd be like with a girlfriend from college or whatever, and we'd go out and it'd be fine. But like, whenever I went out with just like, or actually no, there were some times like I'd go out with. I was a nursing major in college, as I've probably said a million times on the show, and so I didn't really have.
Actually,
yeah, probably I talked about it plenty. I didn't have like a lot of guy friends, but then I met my buddy Thomas, who I'm still friends with now. We don't talk much because COVID kind of messed everything up, but I met him through some of my nursing friends, and then we became really close. And so whenever we went out, it would just be me and Thomas and then a bunch of like nursing girls or whatever. So me and Thomas would just mess around and it'd be hype. But like other than that, it would just be like I was already talking to somebody and we'll go out, right? Because like I could never do the whole social thing. I'm not outgoing enough to just go up to a random person and spark a conversation. You know
I'm really
like,
not either.
I can't go up to people I don't know.
Is we were dancing and like these girls were all taking a selfie, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm in the background." And then they
Did you say-
realized that I was in the background, so they put the camera on me and I was dancing, and they loved it. And that was the end.
Oh my god! See, I can't do it. I'm not built for that lifestyle, and that's okay.
I'm trying to learn. I need something.
Can't do
Now
it.
that I'm not going into work every day and raising hell, I gotta raise hell somewhere.
Yeah, no, not for me. I'm happy staying home. I'm happy chilling. Anyways, we can talk some basketball now. We spent enough time talking about the club and random antics. You can start with the All-Star game because
Two
it was
guys
more
that
like
know a club better than anybody.
Yeah, right. Us. This is the place to get your club going stories. Anyways, All-Star game turned into a Celtics show. Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown going at it. Tatum took home the All-Star MVP. I don't know if you saw the graphic, Sam, but the last 6.
I saw this before the graphic.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
The last 6, I believe it is, All-Star MVPs have gone on to win Finals MVP that season, right? Which is kind of crazy. No, not that season, or they have won it.
So
how does it go?
This year Tatum, last year Curry, year before Giannis. Before that, Kawhi did not make the finals. Year before that, KD lost in the finals. Year before that, LeBron lost in the finals. Year before that, Davis, don't even know if they made the playoffs. He was in New Orleans.
Okay. Yeah.
But the last couple years, good news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like even those guys you mentioned, like Kawhi won it and then he won a finals, not like far off from when he won the MVP. Same with LeBron, same with Kevin Durant. They all won it in the years around when they won All-Star Game MVP. So it's at least a good track to be on if you're Jayson Tatum winning All-Star Game MVP. Not only winning it, dominating it, might I add.
Breaking the record.
Points. Yes, most points in All-Star Game history, 55. Saw a lot of people complain. Joe Mazzulla, he's playing him 35 minutes even in the All-Star game. Jayson Tatum barely he didn't run at all. Like no one did anything. It was a brisk scrimmage.
The boys on Sunday are playing harder than them.
Yeah, let's not be, let's not act like it was some gruesome intense game. Yeah. Let's not.
How dare Mazzulla let him and Brown play one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. That was awesome, by the way. Seeing that, I saw a lot of people. I saw a lot of people complain about how this is everything
they're not fans.
Yeah, right. No, even I think Bob Ryan said something about how. Yeah, he said I got to go find it exactly. And I disagreed with it. I love Bob Ryan, respect the hell out of Bob Ryan. Obviously, how can you not? But I disagree with this take, and I think a lot of people who grew up watching basketball in the 80s and 90s probably share this take. He said this. I love basketball, so by definition, I have zero interest in the All-Star game, which has deteriorated into a ludicrous farce. Believe it or not, once upon a time, the greatest players in the world wanted to play serious basketball, not engage in a defenseless dunkerama. And my response is, Bob, it's the All-Star game. You get 82 games of hard play. You get the playoffs, which is still some of the greatest basketball ever, I would argue. I mean, the playoff basketball over the past few years is phenomenal. Like, stars have no interest in playing hard in a game that means absolutely nothing. There is absolutely nothing to gain by winning the All-Star game. Winning All-Star game MVP is cool, but like you can do that by just getting a bunch of shots up, right? Like you don't need to put your body on the line for a game that helps you zilch in the long run. And I understand like, oh, you had all these people fighting their asses off and this. Good for them, right? That's just not how it works, right? You don't have to enjoy, the All-Star game. You don't have to do this because they're never going to play it like a normal game because there's no implications that a normal game has. And personally, I mean, it's an opinion and I can respect everybody's opinion. I didn't mind it. I thought it was fun. And is some of that because I'm a Celtics fan and there was a big part of it that was Tatum and Brown? Sure. But like even last year, right? It's fun to see highlight dunks. It's fun to see the moments of players just messing around. You know what I'm saying? Like Steph Curry going for 50 last year was incredible. Like it was super fun just to see him messing around out there, getting shots up, playing with the crowd. Jaylen Brown doing the too little on Jayson Tatum. Like you get moments that you would never get to see anywhere else in this game. And just because it's not like this hard, intense, crazy basketball game doesn't mean it can't be fun. That's just my opinion. Of course, like I think
it's cool to see him go back and forth. I think there are better ways to do the All-Star game. I do think the All-Star game itself is lame. I think there are cool things that come from the All-Star game, but I'm not sitting there watching it.
Well, my thing is like, what do you?
I'm not hating on it. Like I think it was fine.
Well,
like
my whole thing is though, like I said, like there's nothing you can do to fix it, right? There's no solution because no players are going to try.
Well,
Unless you make the All-Star game something like the MLB, where it's like the All-Star game determines who gets home court in the finals. But even then, like you have what? Like
will Zach
half
Levine
the,
be playing real hard?
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Half the people caring about it. Like unless you say like, okay, and this would never happen because it's foolish and fits my argument. Unless you say, okay, the team that wins the All-Star game, every player on the team earns their team 2 more regular season wins. Like that's just not how it works, right? You can't do that because it
that'd
is
be
a
kind of
meaningless
fire.
game. Well, yeah, but it doesn't matter because then if you are Jayson Tatum and Giannis is on the other team and he wins, then that's just not fair, right? There's nothing you can do with it other than making it an entertainment value game for the fans, which they do by
Well, you
messing
could make
around,
it
taking
not a
shots.
game. You could make it. You can make it. I've seen people say make it half court.
And
I've seen people
Corrales
say
put that out today, right?
make it 1-on-1s. I saw
Yeah, I
Corrales
think
say
Corrales
that.
put that out, and I think that's smart. Do
Like,
it
if you're gonna do half court, you could do like 3-on-3s and have more teams. You could
Yeah,
do
I
something
agree.
like you do with the skills
You know what? I
challenge.
think that's actually a good idea. Have you seen? I mean, I know it from 2K because it's one of the drills you have to do. Do like 3-on-3 teams and have them go back and forth, like 3-on-3 half court. Whichever team scores stays in. Then you go to the other end, right? And you get a different 3-on-3 team that plays the team that just scored there, and you go back and forth, like switching out 3-on-3 teams, and then the winner gets like I don't know, make it some monetary reward. Like they get this, $1 million or probably something more because that means nothing to them. But you know what I'm saying? Like give them some sort, put some sort of prize there that players would care about. And maybe that's the problem because
You
there
got to
isn't
figure out what
one.
they
But
care about. Like, they don't really
well,
care about much. Like, they don't care about loyalty anymore. They don't care about how long the contract
they care
is.
about
Don't.
winning. They care about
Some
winning.
of them
That's what
do.
matters. Most. What do you mean some of them?
I'm not convinced all those guys care if they win or not.
Win the All-Star game or win championships?
Regular season, like anything. Like, there are guys in the league that are definitely there just collecting a check. It's true.
I disagree.
Oh, I don't disagree.
I think there's a bar, right? Because like, I'm gonna think of an example. If I'm Zach Levine and I have the chance to secure generational wealth by signing a contract that's gonna set me and my family up for X amount of years, like I'm gonna do that regardless. Like I would rather do that than take a massive pay cut to win a championship. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because at that point, it's about your livelihood, right? Having a chance to secure what is it like $243 million versus like 120 on a good team, like that's that's an extra $120 million to play for a team with playoff hopes rather than title hopes, and I take that, right? Because that's like an absurd amount of money when you're still going to be playing in the league and still going to compete at the highest level in the world. Not saying like a title contention, but like compete in the league that is the best in the world. And
Yeah,
then
that's true.
on the flip side, like I don't know why he popped in my head, probably because he had a fun moment at All-Star Weekend. Jose Alvarado, right? Like if I'm Jose Alvarado, I don't care who signs me. I go wherever the money is the most because you're not in a position where you can lead a team or be an all-star or XX. Like I think he's a great player, but he's not going to be this amazing superstar. So I go where whoever pays me the most. And that's how it works because you have to worry about yourself. And I understand that because they're humans, right? If I'm put in the NBA, right? I'm going wherever pays me. If that's the Pistons, hell, I'll play on the Pistons. I'm in the NBA and they're going to give me a bag. Hell yeah, right? If I can take, I don't know, like let's say one team offers me 10 mil versus 9 mil, and one team is a title contender and one team's a lottery contender, I'll go to the title contender. But if I'm getting a minimum contract from the Celtics versus a $10 million, $12 million deal from the Pistons, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's different. It's different. That's not really what I was talking about. Like, I don't expect every player to take a pay cut to try and win. Really what I was getting at was how about KD and Kyrie doubling down on the trade requests? How about that? KD saying, I like the trade request. They make the league more exciting. Kyrie saying
They do. I think they make the league.
I think it's bad for the league.
I disagree.
Kyrie saying, what's wrong with me wanting to make a business decision if I'm not happy where I'm working, blah, 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 blah. Well, here's what I say is don't sign the contract. Don't sign a 5-year contract. I have no problem with these guys signing shorter term deals. I don't think it, and Barkley touched on this. He was talking about it. You might have seen the video go around Twitter. They're going to be screwed. They're going to be locked out. This is going to create a lot of problems because these guys are just, whenever things get rough, okay, I want to go play somewhere else. that's typically not how it
Sure.
works. If you have a real job,
See,
you can't just get up and leave for
well,
the
you
most
can.
part. You can quit,
You can quit. You can quit and find another job.
but it's not the same.
I
And not
understand
everybody working a regular job has the
the freedom. No, of course.
flexibility and freedom to
Yeah.
just get up and quit.
I'll say this. I agree with it from certain perspectives, and I disagree with it on certain perspectives. In the sense, like, I do think excuse me, sorry, I had to cough. I think there needs to be a balance. And I think for a long time, you didn't see that balance where it was completely team control and the players had no power. And I think to this point, you've maybe seen it shift a little too much to the other side where the players have too much power and the teams have less. But I also think it's important to understand that what Kyrie said, I'll use as an example. The players should be able to dictate their future. I agree with that, right? Like, and I know you can say, well, then just don't sign the contract.
Yeah,
well,
then sign a different contract.
Well, then you're leaving a whole lot of money on the table by doing
Also, not
it.
for
And
nothing, he was mad that they didn't extend him. So because they
Mhm.
didn't extend him, all of a sudden he wants to leave. But if they extended him, he was going to stay there. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, he wanted a 5-year. He wanted the guaranteed money, and so he went somewhere where he thinks he can get it. And in his defense, he could have just gone the rest of the season and said, "Okay, I'm gone." At least, like, if anything, it's better for the Nets that he said, "Trade me."
I
Because
disagree. In the
Huh?
short term, no. Because
What are you
that Nets
talking
team was
about?
on fire before KD got hurt. People were saying they might beat the Celtics. That team was playing really well. KD
Sure.
goes down, he doesn't get
No.
extended,
You're
and
missing
then
my
they blow
point.
up the team.
You're missing my point. I'm saying,
They're going to have assets from this. Yes, that's what you're saying. But in the short
yeah.
term, will the Nets ever be able to compete for a championship with these assets? Maybe. Had this not happened, let's just say Durant didn't even get injured. I'm not convinced this happens. And if
Okay,
he doesn't
maybe,
get
yeah.
injured, they're competing.
No, I
They
disagree.
have at least title hopes.
I disagree. I think if KD gets injured, they still run into the same problems because I don't think the Nets wanted to give him a long-term contract. Excuse me, and I understand why, because he's a flight risk, and
Of course he
you
is.
think he might not play, and there's all these reasons. But from Kyrie's perspective, like, of course you want to go to some place that will give you. And I'm not saying I agree with Kyrie. I disagree with a lot of the stuff he says, most of the stuff he says. But from Kyrie's perspective, playing devil's advocate, I would want to go to somewhere that is willing to give me that money. And so if the Nets aren't willing to give him that money, I say, okay, I want out and I want to go somewhere that could potentially, give me that. And I'll tell you now, rather than just leaving this summer for someone that'll give me a long-term deal.
So what happens if the Nets paid him? Then what happens?
Then I think he would, obviously, like I said, you run a lot of risks. Like something could come up. He could get suspended. He could do this, right?
There are people convinced the Mavs aren't going to pay him.
Yeah, and maybe they won't, but they took the risk because
He has
he's a
to
good
behave.
player. Sure.
In Brooklyn, he wasn't behaving. That was clear. He wasn't. He was causing all kinds of problems.
I don't
Whether
think
it was the COVID thing or it was the tweets.
I don't think it's a matter of him behaving. I think it's a matter of whether or not the environment accepts his misbehaviors. I'm being so serious, right? Because you see him go to Dallas, right? And not to bring politics into this, but hell, you see him go from New York to Texas. He immediately deletes the post apologizing for his, anti-Semitic remarks and
which is just the
beliefs.
best.
It's ridiculous, right? It's absurd, and I know you say that sarcastically, but
no, it is. It's actually like really funny because he's going to play for a Jewish owner.
Yeah, I know. Funny is not the correct word, and that's why I said sarcastic.
It's ironic.
Yes, there you go. But I'm not agreeing with Kyrie and his beliefs. I'm agreeing with the sense that I think there does need to be a better balance between team and player control than there was X amount of years ago, and I think better than there is now because I think players do have too much.
Is like a bad thing from team control? Like what's something that has changed for the better? You would say. I'm just curious.
Players having more, dictatorship. That's not the right word, but being able to control where they want to go more, right? Like maybe a trade request X amount of years into your thing isn't great, but it's also not great that a team can say, okay, 5 years. Like let's say a team situation gets toxic and they don't want to play a player or they don't want to do this or they don't want to do this. And I'm not saying this would happen in Brooklyn, but right? Like let's say something like that
John
happens.
Wall.
What do you mean?
When he was with Houston.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Like they don't want to play him. Like, and he's just forced to sit there and do nothing. Right. That sucks. Like
That's
player
fair.
should
Your
have
point
some control.
Is fair. Not,
and I'm not saying again.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying this is like what happened with Kyrie and KD. Like you said, they were a great team, but let's let me. I need to find a better examples because Kyrie's not a good example because of all the behind the scenes.
Well, the
stuff.
John Wall thing is a good example, and
I know,
and
but
it's right to your point. And
I know, but
let's
I'm
just
furthering
circle
it.
back quick because of what you said. Like, okay, John Wall having to sit out because the team doesn't want to play him isn't necessarily fair.
It's like Al Horford
However,
too. Throw Al in there. Thunder. That sucked.
okay, very true. Good point. Both those are not really fair, even though Horford kind of benefited from it.
It
'cause he
worked
was
out, yes.
fresh. But in the situation of Kyrie, these are apples to oranges, and essentially we're talking about the league as a whole. So all situations have to be accounted for when we discuss something like this.
Sure.
But the fact that he, as a single player, now listen, he's done this plenty of times, can derail a season that was going well, like he did for that Nets team, who a month ago you would have thought nothing was going to happen.
Now,
You were like, KD's coming back and Kyrie's going to play, and they're going to be somebody's going to have to deal with him in the playoffs. And 2 weeks later, he requests a trade, and it's the end of it.
I think we should also acknowledge that we can't treat everything like Kyrie because not only is Kyrie his own situation, he's a very
little bit of an outlier.
Yeah, he is a very outlier individual situation, right? Like you're not seeing many players deal with that type of thing, right? Like the example I was gonna say, let's put prime Kemba Walker in Kyrie's shoes. Let's say the Nets don't like before his health issues, before he fell out of the league, before that, like prime Charlotte Hornets Kemba Walker. Let's say Charlotte went to him on the last year of his deal and said, we don't want to give you a max contract for whatever reason, whatever they're the team, right? And it, from a lot of people's perspective, they don't have to give a reason because they have control. Let's say, and this isn't aimed at you, this is in general. Let's say, they were saying, we'll give you 1-1. We don't really feel like paying you that much. And he goes, well, no, I want a 5-year deal. I feel like I'm good enough to have a 5-year deal, which from Kyrie's perspective is what he was thinking. I'm not saying it's right because he's, like you said, an outlier, but like from his perspective, this is what his mindset was. So let's say Kemba goes to the Hornets and no, I want a 5-year deal. And they said, we're not going to do that. And so he goes, okay, then trade me because I'm not going to, I don't want to do that. Right. No one would be batting an eye because they'd be like, why aren't they paying him? Right. Like he's good. He deserves it. And if Kyrie wasn't a nut job, a lot of people would probably feel that way too. And I think,
yeah, there is no why aren't they paying? Everyone's like, well, yeah, why wouldn't you give him a 1-1 so he has to behave?
Exactly. But let's like put it in the shoes of anybody who's not crazy, right? Or does all this like outlandish stuff. Like I said, Kemba, and he requested a trade. It would benefit the Hornets in the long run because he didn't want to sign there for the contract they were offering anyways, which I argued it did for the Nets. And I honestly think the Nets are probably in a better long-term place.
In the long run, it'll help. But I mean, for this season, I don't know if they're going to really be able to compete with the group that they have. Like seriously compete. They're not going to be like bums, but
we won't know.
They're not at the level that they could have been this season.
Yeah, we won't know. But like I said, I think there should be a balance, and I don't know what that balance is. I'm not a part of the CBA negotiations, but I do think they need to find something where players can have some control, whether it be, before you request a trade or before you are able to, start dictating anything, you need to spend 2 years there, or you need to, be it through the first X amount of years of your contract, and then you automatically have some sort of clause that helps you, dictate something, or even past that, like right, to avoid somebody like I don't want to throw anybody, but I'll just use Jose Alvarado again. There has to be clauses like if you make X amount of things, you can do X amount of things, right? If you're an all NBA player and you do this, and the Celtics, or I'm just saying it because we cover the Celtics, this team makes it to this round of the playoffs and you average this, like clauses to something, you can have X amount of freedom on your next deal. Do you know what
the freedom thing is different?
The freedoms thing, right? Like the money thing, of course, right? They'll be able to earn more money, but I think what's becoming even more important to players nowadays rather than money is being in a situation that they prefer, right? Like you look at, everyone talks about, will Jaylen Brown leave the Celtics? The only reason that's a question is because people consider, okay, does he want to have a larger role? Does he want to do this? Because the Celtics can offer him the most money, but they can't offer him the 1A position because that's Jayson Tatum's, right? And so if let's say Jaylen Brown comes to the table next year and says, trade me, because I want to be a 1A next year and I don't plan on resigning, which I'm not saying he will. I don't think he will. I think he'll resign in Boston.
He seems very happy here, by the way. Everything we've heard recently, this is not like combative. It's just like
no, I know.
I
don't think he's
everything we've heard recently is actually really positive on Jaylen Brown.
I agree, and I don't think he's leaving Boston. But like, if he came to the table and said, "Trade me, I want a higher position," I would have a hard time arguing with that because I think he's capable of being the 1A in the right scenario, right? Like I like you tell me you put him on that Miami Heat team as the primary scoring option, they couldn't win a title. I think they absolutely could. You know what I'm saying? So I think there are, and that was just a one-off example. I think there are examples where a player should have the right to dictate his own future.
They all have the
but
right. They can all leave.
I know at
Just
the
don't sign the
contract.
contract.
There's a lot that goes into that in my opinion, and I'll explain. Like, say you're Jaylen Brown 3 years ago, right? Like, say you're Jaylen Brown before he signs that discounted deal that he signed with the Celtics, right? If you say, let's say the Celtics didn't give him that much money and he wanted to sign for a max, right? Let's say the Celtics offered him 15 million, but he believed he was good enough to sign for a max, right? People would get mad at him, right? And the Celtics can match anything he gets, right? Like, I'm also not a huge fan of the rookie deal, right? And in the case of
I
or
am.
the bird rights, I know you are
And
because
here's why.
you're a team
No,
control
here's
guy.
why.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Let's say Jaylen Brown thought he deserved more and the Celtics only offered him 10, right? Like, he could go. And DeAndre Ayton's the current actual real world example, but I'll finish what I'm saying. Like, the Hawks or somebody could have offered Jaylen Brown a max contract. The Celtics could have matched and it would have been fine, right? But you're telling me in the back of his head he's not going to be pissed. He's not going to be unhappy in a situation. Like I said, look at DeAndre Ayton, right? You see the sort of remnants that DeAndre Ayton's probably not the happiest in Phoenix because he went through the first 4 years of his deal. He played very well, in my opinion. And he wanted to leave because clearly something was wrong. And so he signed with the Pacers and the Sun said, nope, you're coming back. And that doesn't sit super right with me. And I'll predict your argument here. And it's something like they drafted the player, they have the rights to that. And I understand, but I don't know. I think players deserve a certain level of freedom. And I do think maybe it's gone tilted a little bit too far towards them. But I disagree with the notion that the team should have all the control because just from like a human being person perspective, I don't love it.
I lean somewhat towards. I don't like to use the word rights, like because
they're humans, they're people.
Yeah, but like it's not like that for me. The point is, you as a team drafted that player to help you compete. Now,
Sure.
when the player comes to the league, they are not a finished product yet. They're not. They're not going to be the best they're going to be. So not only you as a team, most times, unless you're like the Celtics and you end up with top picks from Brooklyn, give that player the room to grow and develop and learn.
Yeah.
But also you are starting to put pieces, if that player is playing well enough and you believe in them, put pieces around them so you can win a championship with that player and both achieve a mutual goal. Correct?
Sure.
So if you have players that can just leave no matter what after those first 4 years, everything you have worked towards as a unit, including that player, aside from his talent, is gone. So the player reaps all the benefits of that and you get nothing. Because usually by the end of that first contract, you're ready to compete. Like even look at the Celtics, right? Like even with Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, Tatum has probably been the most successful rookie that has had to lead probably in a very, very long time. Seriously. Like, think about, like, he comes in, he's playing as a role player. Opening night, Hayward goes down, has to take a little bit bigger of a role, but it's still Kyrie. It's still Al Horford. Like, he's still not really a focal point of the team. Kyrie goes down in like April, just before the playoffs. So the 2 seed, they have Milwaukee. Terry Rozier, and Jaylen Brown really stepped up. All 3 were young guys in that situation. But besides that, like, how often do you see a player really like help a team compete that early? And even then, Tatum wasn't good enough to like really like take over a game or like battle. Like, it was still a really great camaraderie, like team effort.
I think that's pretty unfair. Because
how is that unfair?
You're considering, well, first off, most teams that draft these high superstars are not playoff teams, right? The Celtics were in a very unique situation.
It is unique.
What do you mean? Well, yeah, it's unique, and you say you don't see these players helping their teams compete that early because their teams aren't in a position to compete, and I know that
Because
follows
the
your
teams
argument of
aren't ready to compete, but also
okay,
because they're just not like to go further. Tatum really isn't taking over games until the last year or the first year of his new deal, to where I don't remember when it kicked in. Was it the bubble year was his last rookie year, or
I
the
don't
year
remember.
after?
I don't remember the first 4 years. So what is that? 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21.
Okay,
So
so
2020,
the one where
2021,
no people were in the stands was
where they
the
lost
last
to the
one.
Nets. Yeah.
Okay, so he was just kind of starting to get to the point where he was consistently able to alter a game. You saw flashes of it in the bubble. He was really great against Philly, had his moments in the other games. But for a player to really be the cornerstone of your team, you as a franchise need that 4 years to tell, what do we need to do? What kind of pieces
Mhm.
do we need to put around this guy to put him in the best situation and to put the team in the best situation to compete?
Sure.
If you spend 4 years studying, calculating, figuring out how you're gonna do that, and you have no way of guaranteeing that that guy is going to be a part of your future that you just spent 4 years planning for, it's not really fair. Now,
Now,
I
I'm going to combat
understand,
your
like,
argument.
it's kinda shitty that the guy can't, like, get up and leave, but,
Well,
like,
I want to
I don't know
combat
what
your
else
argument.
you want.
Well, I combat your argument with what if the organization is really shitty at doing what you're expecting them to do, right? Like, what if you're LaMelo Ball? We'll use him as an example. This is his what, third year in the league? The Hornets have regressed. And sure, there are some background things that aren't exactly their fault that have caused them to regress. But even if those said things didn't happen, you can't tell me they'd be a playoff team this year. They would not be.
Not this year.
They're horrendous, right? And they made the play in the last 2 years. Michael Jordan is one of the cheapest owners in the NBA. He's not doing anything to help them improve. They're going to be in the Wembanyama sweepstakes, so maybe that helps. But a player like, I'm using LaMelo, so I'll talk about him. A player, if say you're drafted into the NBA at 19, you don't have any freedom to dictate where you can play until you're 27. That's kind of crazy. That's nuts. You have no freedom to dictate any. Let's say the training staff's terrible. Let's say they can't help you. Get healthy. They're ignoring your pleas. The team is doing nothing to help improve you around you. You're stuck in hell for 8 years of your life. For arguably over. Unless you're LeBron or somebody crazy, half your career. You are stuck in a situation where you are completely unable to win. And I totally agree with you in the sense of let's say you're Boston or let's say you're Memphis because they're doing a good job.
Mhm.
You're doing everything you can to put that player that you drafted, John Morant or Jayson Tatum in this case, in the best possible situation for them to succeed. Now, let's say you're LaMelo Ball, or let's say you're DeAndre Ayton, who they took back, right? And the Suns have been
Who made the
good.
finals?
Sure, I know, but like, if you're DeAndre Ayton, from the LaMelo perspective, my point was they're not helping him win. From the Ayton
True.
perspective, my point is there clearly something going behind the scenes where he doesn't respect the team and they don't respect him. There's clearly something going on. It's not that they're not good. It goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than basketball because, again, like I say, at the base of it all, they're all people, right? They're not
It's true.
players, they're humans, right? And so clearly there's something wrong with Ayton and the coach, but or Ayton and the coach, or Ayton in the organization, or whatever it is. Clearly there's something wrong, and he has no freedom to move past it. No, nothing. He's stuck there for 8 years of his life, and he's got to deal with it. Right. That's the part that doesn't sit well with me. And I and I understand it's see because I agree with your argument. Right. A team should be given
There's a
X
gray
amount of
area.
years. Exactly. The team should be given X amount of years to put a contending piece around. Or excuse me, a contending team around this piece that they drafted, or pieces, if you Jaylen Brown in there, Desmond Bane, Jared Jackson, etc. But at the same time, it's not fair to the player, in my opinion, to say you have no freedom, no matter what the team does, right or wrong, for 8 years of your life. That part, it doesn't make sense to me. And the Kyrie thing, obviously they're past it. They cannot sign the contract, blah, blah, blah. And we've kind of delved into a different realm of conversation. I just think there needs to be a better balance between player and team control. And again, I don't know what that is because I'm not deep into these negotiations, but I think
It's a
what you said is
mess.
right. It is. It's tough, and it's tough to deal with. And I mean, from a guy who writes articles and enjoys it from an entertainer's perspective, I think trade requests are fun. I think they
It's good
liven
for
things
drama,
up.
bad for the game. That's what I always say.
I don't
And
even
I
think it's bad
tweeted
for
it.
the
It's
game.
true. It's good. It's good for drama. It's good for us. Like when we write articles and we need like juicy topics and headlines and things to write about. But like,
Yeah,
I do understand the sentiment of they're getting something back, but that doesn't change the fact that that whole request, that whole situation derailed what could have been a successful season for the Nets, and we'll never know
sure.
because it happened.
Sure. I don't think it's necessarily bad for the game, though, because the Nets are not as good as they were, but now you have two teams in the West who are, I would say, pretty clearly better, right? And you can argue with the Mavericks because would they have been better with Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith playing defense? Maybe. It is what it is. It adds drama, but you look down the line, Kawhi asking out, brought the Raptors a title. That was pretty fun. I mean, that team was cool. Anthony Davis asking out. I would argue that trade probably ended up better for both teams. I mean, the Lakers won their championship, and the Pelicans are sitting pretty handedly with Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, who they got in the Josh Hart deal. And I mean, the Lonzo situation's a mess, but regardless. So I don't mind trade requests. I think there definitely needs to be some sort of, I don't even know what to call it, negotiation put in place to balance out the player and team control better, or find some sort of resolution. Like I said it 3 times. I don't know what that is. But like specifically with the rookie thing, like I said, like we'll never know how good LaMelo Ball can be leading a team because he's not really going to have the chance, right? Like you can't convince me in the next 5 years the Hornets are going to be a serious contender for the finals because they're just not going to be. Like I just don't think they will be.
Child services situation where they come in and take the kid.
Yeah, right. They're gonna have to extract LaMelo from Charlotte, unless maybe Wembanyama gets there. But here's another example.
Yeah, that could happen, and then it would change a lot of things. Now, that's not the doing
my
of
thing
Jordan.
My thing is, would it change a lot of things? Wembanyama is great, but like I always say, situation is everything. You can't tell me that Wembanyama wouldn't be better off in San Antonio with that organization, with Popovich, with that group that's championship built, right?
That's a good question.
You can't tell me he wouldn't be better off in, I don't know, what's another example? Let's say, I'm thinking, who's at the bottom? Detroit, Indiana. Let's say Indiana
Houston.
loses, right? Houston, right? Even that, like, let me look at the NBA standings.
New Orleans could be one because of the Lakers.
Yep. Let's see. Let's say the Thunder lose some games and they magically win the lottery. You're telling me Victor Wembanyama wouldn't have more success under that Thunder squad, with that ownership, with Sam Presti, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with that squad that they've built up, with all the picks ready to get more people, willing to help a young team that's showing some promise, than Charlotte, who has consistently showed that they're not willing to spend money. They weren't willing to spend money. I don't know if you heard this. I heard this, I think. They hired Kenny Atkinson, then they weren't willing to spend the extra money to bring in the guys he wanted to on the coaching panel. And so then he left.
That's actually really funny.
And then instead of finding somebody else who would have wanted their own coaches in there, they just brought back Steve Clifford because he said he'd be fine with the coaches they have. Right? Like you can't tell me that Wembanyama wouldn't be better off in San Antonio or OKC than in Charlotte with that ownership, right? And we will never know how his career turns out. Like I'll use LeBron. I know you don't love LeBron. That Cavaliers team he dragged to the finals in 2007 was abysmal. That might have been the worst finals team I've ever seen in my life, right? And
it's true, but also, well, I don't know. This is not concrete, but those pieces worked a little bit. Like Algaskis wasn't a bomb. Mo Williams wasn't terrible, right? Like he was okay. Like I believe he might have had an all-star selection. I'm not positive on that. Did they bring in LeBron a ton of help? No, they didn't.
Let me 1 second.
They didn't.
No, you're right. I'm reading you this team though, right? And my argument is not, and this was only LeBron's second year, so they didn't. This isn't me shitting on the Cavaliers for not.
No, this is 4 years in, or 3.
It is 4 years.
03, 04, 04, 05.
This is the exact year that you said they should, have a little bit of help, right? End of the first contract. These are the leading scorers on that team. You had LeBron James at 27. You had Larry Hughes at 15 a game. You had Ilgauskas, who's not a bum. He was okay. He was averaging 12 and 7. You had Drew Gooden, Sasha Pavlovich, Danielle Marshall, Anderson Varejao, Damon Jones, Boobie Gibson, Eric Snow. Like, I'm sorry.
Mo Williams
right?
has not arrived yet.
No. No Mo Williams yet. So you can't tell me. Like, I couldn't find I don't think I could find another finals team where at least one other player on the roster had absolutely zero significance in the history of the NBA. Right. And like Ilgauskas is a maybe because like you look back
Larry
the past
Hughes
few
is
years.
an okay player. Not a Hall of Famer.
We're picking at straws here. Let's call a spade a spade. This team was awful. This team was, like I said,
not a good finals team.
It might have been one of the worst finals teams over the last 20 years.
How good was the East that year, though? Seriously.
Let me take a look. Give me a sec.
It wasn't that great.
Oh, you're going to make me look here. This is also completely besides the point. This isn't like I had a point that I was going to build on.
Well, the talent. No, the point is like we've talked about this with the scoring, right, Jack?
No. I have a point, and I'm going to get into it. I'm going to finish this off first, though. The Pistons were the 1 seed, just a few years off their title run, right?
Which was an underdog title run.
Sure, but let's not act like
they were aging.
Let's not act like they weren't weren't a good team.
They were.
And the Raptors, the Heat, the Raptors, the Heat, the Bulls, the Nets, right? It wasn't a wealth of talent. Again, this is all besides the point I'm making.
Those teams really aren't anything special.
Again, this is not the point I'm making. I'm trying to get there.
My point is the talent was thinner then. It's not just saying like his team was bad or whatever. Like the league itself was not as good.
Jason Kidd and Richard Jefferson Nets. He beat the Gilbert Arenas, Brendan Haywood, Antoine Jameson Wizards, and he beat like I said, the Billups, Hamilton, Taurean Prince, Rasheed Wallace Pistons, and then lost to Tim Duncan. Anyways, the point is nothing to do with the Cavaliers team. How different does LeBron's career look if he didn't leave for Miami? Right? Like how different would the Cavaliers have ever figured it out? Right. And I know you can say, oh, he went back there and they figured it out. That's because they were so bad.
Well, they had to get picks. It's
exactly.
It's true.
They were so bad that they had to get Irving. They were so bad that they had to get Wiggins just in order to trade for Kevin Love. Right. And if they hadn't done all that, if he hadn't left them, like you could make an argument that the Cavaliers never put a good enough team around him to, go as far as he did. And everyone's like, oh yeah, well, he went to Miami to team up with yeah, he did. Cause that's what he had to do to win a championship, right? Cause the team that he was on wasn't putting a good enough product around him to win that championship. And so you can sit here and criticize LeBron for leaving. And this is, again, we're just going back into the player versus team empowerment. He sat there in Cleveland 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of his career. He sat there in Cleveland. And then he said, okay, I'm going to Miami. I'm going. All right. And
think of it like this.
Turned out for the best.
It's true. He got a lot out of it. However, one, I'll start by saying this. I'm not convinced if he stays, they get past the Celtics ever.
Exactly my point. You're arguing for me.
This is one, a testament to LeBron, but two, also, by the time he left, they had gotten him more help. Like that team won 60 games in 2010. They did. It was him, an old Shaq. They had Antoine Jameson. They had Mo
Still
Williams.
Not a great team.
Not a great team.
I already know you
won 60 games
because of LeBron.
They did. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
But that wasn't a finals team. Let's not act like that was a championship team.
It could, if I don't know, if it's a championship team.
It could have been, but only because of how good LeBron was. Only because of how good LeBron was. Like, what would you say? This 2009, 2010 team?
They won 60 even. How many?
61 games.
61 games, which
again,
is not being done very often.
Mo Williams was pretty good. You're correct. He was 16 points, 5 assists. It's not a bad player. Same thing with Antoine Jameson. He put up 16 and 7, and even Shaq had 12 in his old age.
The Celtics were underdogs in that series. By the way,
it's not a terrible team, but again, it's like he went somewhere that got him the more help, and they tried, sure. And if your definition of trying is signing Mo Williams and Antoine Jameson, it's good. But as LeBron grew older in his career, like you said, the league got more talented, right? It became tougher to win. And I think it's tougher to win, in the NBA now than it ever was. And you could say, oh, well, Jordan stopped all these teams. Yeah. You're talking about one team.
Just look at the East this year, or look at the whole league. Like we're like
the West too.
or last year. Last year we had no idea who was going to win. This year,
I
we
think
don't
there's-
really have any
I-
kind of concrete. Everybody thinks the Celtics are going to win or Milwaukee, and that's it. But realistically, there are a bunch of teams
Denver's
that can
up there.
compete.
Phoenix can compete. Philly, as much as you don't believe in them because of their playoff
I
history, they've got
really
good
don't
players.
believe in Philly.
My point is, I think there's more talent in the league now than there ever was before. And I think players being able to dictate where they can go, again, there's got to be a balance because they shouldn't have complete control like it seems like they do at times now. I don't think it's fair to make players, sit in a situation that's not ideal for them. And I think DeAndre Ayton's maybe the best example I have because clearly something's
Well,
wrong.
those guys can sign 1-year contracts.
What do you mean?
Like if you're DeAndre Ayton and you want to leave, sign a 1-year contract.
With who? Like another
Anyone.
I guess, but then you also have to consider like a team has to offer him a 1-year contract, right? Like
Why would you not?
Because there's no what's the benefit?
If I'm the Pacers, right? That's who it was.
Sure.
That was the threat. Today, February 21st, 2023, there is no difference for the Pacers if they offered Ayton 4 years, whatever they did, or
4 year.
1 year.
Okay.
There's no that is a no-lose situation if you're the Pacers.
Well, it's a lose if he signs the 1 year and then leaves. Because then
Is it?
you wait. I mean, it's just kind of useless. It's a meaningless year, and I mean, you just spent
This
a lot of
year's
time.
meaningless as it is.
You just spent a lot of time stressing the importance of culture and knowing what you're going to build around. So why would they sign a player to 1 year with no guarantee of him being there in the future?
I think if you're that player, you might. Well, one, he wanted to go there for some reason. They sold him on signing a 4 year.
He could. Excuse me. Maybe the Pacers could have said, "Okay, we'll sign you for 1 year now, and then even if the Suns do match, we'll just bring you back next year anyway." Like maybe there could be some of that.
My point is the Suns are matching. They don't care.
Sure,
They're
but
matching.
but then my point is, you run the risk of something you don't like. There's collusion. You can't be talking to people. You can't be plotting stuff. You can't be doing this because that's not fair, right? So like, if the Pacers and DeAndre Ayton colluded and said, "Okay, we'll offer you a 1 year thing right now, and then when the Suns match, we'll just sign you unrestricted next year," right? They'd get clapped for collusion, and
However, would they survive with the
I know what you're
second-round
saying,
picks?
but then the same people as far as I'm concerned, it's the same people who complain about player empowerment and player trade requests that also complain about, these PJ Tucker was talking with the Sixers. Like, you can't have both ways.
I don't
Right?
really
Like,
care about all that.
I know you don't, but my point is most people who complain about that complain about.
I just think the punishment's like real funny because they like the league wants to make it a real punishable thing, but they really don't punish them.
Well,
if you're bringing in a player that you think's going to help you win, are you really concerned about a second-round pick? No.
Well, you are when 5 of them can get you a player.
You
are when it's money.
Picks.
Well, second-round picks are currency now more than they are picks, right? And let's not act like second-round picks don't have any value. They clearly have value. They're tradable assets.
On a second-round pick.
Mm-hmm. And you can hit on second-round picks. And I would argue second-round picks are more valuable now than ever before because of how talented the basketball world is, right? There's more talent than ever coming into the NBA. You can get a decent player in a second-round pick. Like, let's take a look. We'll go a few years back so we can get an actual recollection here. Give me a year, like a recent year where a second-round pick would have enough time to develop into a decent player.
Say 2017.
2017 NBA draft. And we're going to go to the Wikipedia page, so I can also look at undrafted guys, right? Because
Okay.
we got to consider that as well. 2017 NBA draft. This is Tatum's draft. Let's look at second-round picks. Let's see. Thomas Bryant was in the second round. Isaiah Hartenstein was in the second round. Dylan Brooks was in the second round. Monte Morris was in the second round. Edmund Sumner, they're not all be great, but I'm going to tell you anybody who's had some sort of impact. Edmund Sumner was in the second round. Shemi Ojale, I know he's not great, but he was an okay player there for a little while. Davon Reed is still in the league now. Frank Jackson just signed another contract today. Hell, you look at the end of the first round, Derek White and Josh Hart were 29 and 30, right? And then let's go to undrafted. Excuse me, notable undrafted players. Let's take a look here. PJ Dozier, he had a nice little run. He's an all right player. Luke Cornett, second round that year, right? There are plenty of players. Ish Wainwright was an undrafted player in the second round this year. I'm pretty sure this was the Kendrick Nunn year as well, although I don't see him on this list. Duncan
You got to go back and just say PJ Tucker's a bad example because PJ Tucker is not panned out. But before the season, you might have said, who would you rather have, PJ Tucker or 90% of those guys? And you would say PJ Tucker.
I understand, but like, let's not act like a second round pick doesn't have value, because it does have value in the
It
right
has
situation
minimal
and for
value.
the right people. I disagree. I
It,
think
it has some value. It's not nothing, but it's like the biggest slap on the wrist ever.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, and like,
Or like
for
when
the
they find teams like, ooh.
no, I know what you're saying. Like for the Sixers, effectively, they're trading a second round pick for PJ Tucker, right?
Yeah,
Like
don't
that's what
care.
they're doing. But at the same time, you look at the example of Jalen Brunson. A lot of people were pissed. A lot of Mavericks fans were pissed that happened, right? Because you lose the player, and from that perspective,
Did
maybe
they
the Knicks
say
there to lose a
how
little
early
more.
they were talking?
Oh, I don't know. But at the same time, you gotta get mad at the Mavericks for not extending him because they messed up.
It's true.
So
There's truth to that.
I don't know. I think there needs to be a better balance between player and team. I don't
Also,
think the
not for
team
nothing,
should have all
Jalen
of it.
Brunson, if he stays in Dallas, is going to be a 6-man. Really, that's it.
Well, no, I don't think so. I think he starts.
He's effectively going to have that same role. Now, this goes back to what you said earlier about like a Jaylen Brown if he left and wants to be a 1A or whatever.
Yeah.
There's truth to it. Like, I get it. Maybe not if you're on like a title team. Like, sure, Dallas made the conference finals, but they were far and away the worst team that was still playing. Miami was close. Miami was a joke team to me, but they somehow took the Celtics 7 games.
I think the Mavericks were really good, and I think, excuse me, that playoff run displayed how good Brunson and Doncic could be together at full strength. And I think if Brunson had gone back to Dallas, I think he obviously would have gotten a larger role. I think he obviously would have been, excuse me, more of a second option behind Luka, because he showed that he could do that. And I'm not saying he blossoms like he did New York, which another reason players should have more freedom, because you never know how good a player can be in the right situation. I think the Mavericks still would have been really good with him, and Dinwiddie probably would have come off the bench. But anyways, wow, we really spent an hour debating player versus team trade requests and stuff.
We haven't put out an episode since when? Thursday?
A little while. Yeah, there you go, though.
You can go. As long as you're feeling okay.
I'm all right. I mean, I'm just tired from the sickness, but I am chilling. I just don't know what else do we have.
We've got
we've
got the schedule for the rest of the season we could go through.
Oh yes,
for
let's take a
upcoming
look.
weeks of what we think may happen.
I wrote about this for just talking the Celtics schedule here for those listening on audio.
Nice.
I wrote about it for like a Celtics blog. What's it called? Roundtable.
Yeah. They ask you like what you think.
Mm-hmm. I think the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games out of the All-Star break for the Celtics are going to be like they're going to heavily dictate how the rest of the season goes. Because past the first 7 games out of the All-Star break, the Celtics really don't have a hard schedule at all. They have a very easy schedule after that, I would say, comparatively at least, right? First 7, you got Indiana, Philly, New York, Cleveland, Brooklyn, New York, Cleveland, right? That is Cleveland twice, All-Star, or excuse me.
You need those Cleveland games bad.
Playoff team, right? Philly once,
team that's
playoff
beat you twice, by the way.
Yep. Mm-hmm. New York twice, borderline playoff team. They've been better this year, pretty good. Brooklyn, who's going to have a good defense, and I still think they're in the mix for a playoff spot regardless. They're obviously not a title contender.
They're going to make the playoffs.
They're a good team.
They're going to be a real irritating team for like Philly to play.
Mm-hmm. And then Indiana with Tyrese Halliburton back, not a bad team either, right? So if you go like 5-2 in those games, right? Or better, 4-3 is probably not ideal, but like going above 500,
far from ideal.
I know, but I'm saying if you go above 500 in those games, I think you're left pretty well off for the rest of the season, because after that, we're talking about Portland, disaster this year, not very good.
They'll be
Atlanta, but not very good. Atlanta, mess.
Just fired their coach.
Yeah,
Trae Young claims a victim.
Mm-hmm. Houston, not good.
Terrible.
Minnesota, they've been a mess. They took the Celtics to the brink earlier in the year, but Minnesota not very good, not consistent. Portland again. Utah, who's been fighting, but let's not act like they're a world beater.
They're losing their stamina. They are falling off.
Yep.
And
Sacramento,
they've broken up their team.
Mm-hmm. Sacramento, who, give them credit, they're a good team, but like it's we're not talking about the Bucks or
I need
here.
to request days off when they go out west again.
Mm-hmm. Indiana again, good team, but not great. San Antonio, come on. Washington, come on. Then you got Milwaukee in there, then Utah, then Philly. So Milwaukee and Philly in the span of what is this?
Milwaukee's
5
going to be a
days?
massive game.
Yep, big game, that stuff. And then to close out the season, you got Toronto, Atlanta. So past that first 7-game stretch, you really got what? 3 games against playoff caliber teams, and those 3 games being Sacramento, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, right? So I think if you get out to this, in the roundtable we did was how many games will the Celtics win? I said 60. I think they can get to 60. So they would have to go, what, 18-6 or something? 24 games left? Is that math correct?
They can lose 5 games.
Or 23 games left.
They can only lose 5.
Celtics schedule.
They're 41-17. They've played 58, so they have 24.
24 games, so they have to go 18 and 5. Right, that doesn't make sense because
they have 17 losses. There's 82 games, so if they lose 5, they'll have 22 losses and 60 wins.
They lose 5, 22 losses and 60 wins, but then how many wins? Sorry, because you said 18-5 is an odd number, so they can't. That doesn't make sense. So they have to go 19-5.
I didn't say how many games they have to win.
I did though.
Oh, I just know they've lost 17 games. They can only lose 5 more.
Okay, so they've lost 59 games, not 50. They're 42-17.
That's what I'm saying.
I know. So 42-17.
If you have 17 losses and you add 5 losses to that, that's 22 losses.
18-5. Yes. Okay. COVID. I get a pass today.
Sally has 17 apples. She gets 5 more. How many apples does she have?
I can't. I mentally cannot even explain to you why I was confused. Yes,
I had 5 losses for you like within 5 seconds, and we did a minute on how many losses.
I couldn't do it. Celtics need to go 18-5 to finish out the season. I think that's very doable.
That's a tough ask, especially you like tease they could lose 3 of these next 7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't mean they're gonna. I think 60 is realistic. I expect the best from this team. I'm a strict father. What do you want out of me? But I don't know if they'll get that. I think down the stretch they're gonna start resting guys. Are they gonna care if like?
Well, my other argument is I think they come out hot off the All-Star break because you have to consider. I think JB's coming back with the mask. I think Smart's gonna be back, have more rhythm with the team.
Oh, if he doesn't play after playing in the All-Star game, people are gonna be pissed, including me.
I think they'll be pretty damn close to fully healthy coming out of the break, and I think if they get healthy, and like I said, if they start hot on that 7-game stretch, I think they'll roll through the rest of the season red hot. And so I'm looking for it.
I wonder how they're going to come out against Indiana because that's an interesting matchup because of Indiana's not the best team. They beat up on the Celtics real bad earlier this season. Mm-hmm. Like there's that factor. All these guys have been on vacation for a week, some of them less. Like this is a crapshoot game. If I was betting, I would not bet this game. But I think the Celtics have more motivation going into this game than Indiana does, and I think they're going to be ready.
Sure.
Like, Celtics are probably coming back from break, and they're like, all right, this is it. This is time. You've got a month and a half left of regular season basketball, and then it's playoff time, and you can finally start working towards getting redemption from last year after shooting a bunch of threes in the fourth quarter of Game 4.
Against 2? Sorry, I was dealing with indigestion for a second. I was dying there while you were talking.
They can finally get some redemption after shooting a bunch of threes in Game 4 last year against Golden State.
Yes. Sorry. Wait, in what context? What are you talking? I'm losing my mind. I missed the.
That's when they lost the finals to me. They had a chance to go up 3-1, and they shot a bunch of threes and let the Warriors take Game 4.
The last thing I heard was you talk about the Pacers game. So the Pacers
I did,
game...
and then I said the Celtics are going to realize they're coming back from break. This is the line. You're coming back. This is the home stretch of the season. You have a month and a half left, and then you get in playoff basketball. This is you're gearing up. You're getting ready. Okay. And then you finally have a chance to redeem yourself for shooting a bunch of threes in Game 4 last year.
Okay. Sorry. The connection I heard was this Pacers game is their chance at redemption for the finals.
No.
Did not compute for me.
Yeah. If you say it like that, it doesn't make any sense. It's like a first step. It's setting the tone. Like kind of like you said.
Okay. I understand. That makes sense. Yes. All right. But yeah, I think they can end out hot. Sorry. Again, losing. I get a pass today. I'm losing my mind.
Hey, this was me at the trade deadline.
I'm losing it.
I was slumped over in this chair and I was like, oh my God.
I think they have a chance to come out hot. for that last stretch there. I don't know. I'm feeling good. I think the Celtics have a real chance to get hot.
They should beat
But
Indiana. I think they're going to beat Philly. I think there's a chance Philly comes out Saturday night, prime time, big game for them. Got kind of embarrassed at the Garden earlier this month. Like Celtics played the fellas and beat you in the second half with Embiid having really no one to cover him. That's a bad loss if you're Philly.
Philly
so
doesn't scare me at all.
They don't scare me either, but I lean that they're going to be defeated by that loss rather than motivated by it. We'll see how it goes. I don't see them beating the Celtics this week. I don't.
I saw somebody on Twitter today arguing, and our friend of the pod, Andrew Doxey, was talking about it. Let me actually go find my reply so I can find it.
He had some Sixers fan like saying he was sick of seeing people like say Philly, Boston, and Milwaukee are the favorites, and then like people were saying who's saying Philly's a favorite. He was getting pissed.
It was something like that. Yeah. Well, there was one fan on Twitter who went on a bit of a rant and said, I get that basketball is results oriented, but I think people are far too quick to ignore the process. Sixers fan, I assume. Or not, maybe not. I get the Sixers lost in the second round, but people seem to forget that Embiid was hurt. I get the Celtics made the finals, but if the refs don't wave off a three, it could have been the Heat there instead. I get the Celtics beat the Bucks. Dumb. I get the Celtics beat the Bucks, but I went to Game 7 plus no Middleton. Every time I hear people talk about Philly, Boston, Milwaukee, it seems to underscore how much of why the playoffs shook out the way they did. I think it's unfair to Philly and overrates Boston. Again, I don't understand why we assume these two teams are in separate tiers. I think there's an upper echelon of East in Philadelphia there with Boston, Milwaukee. If I had to rank them, Milwaukee would go first, but the Celtics being clear cut ahead of Philly, I just can't understand. It's unfair.
Come on.
Sixers have the best record in the league since November 1st, since American Thanksgiving. She's Canadian, so clearing it up. The Celtics have the 15th ranked offense, they take more 25 to 29 footers, less than 5. I don't understand this. Why Celtics fans so mad? Why can't I just tweet my thoughts?
She's saying the shots that the Celtics take are not as reliable as the shots Philadelphia gets, which is true.
And my thing is, I'll finish off my point here. I don't have a problem with you believing that Philadelphia should be in the same tier. Like, it's fine, right? Like, they've been a good team. I know you, but I'll let you get your thoughts after. Like, they've been a good team since November 1st. Like, arguably. The point I made, and I replied to Andrew's tweet about this. They are in separate tiers because the Celtics and Bucks have proven capable of making it to the conference finals and beyond for the past 5 years. The Sixers have not. It doesn't mean they can't. It just means they haven't, right? Like, that's my thing. And I dislike that the whole thing was Embiid was hurt last year, plus the Celtics got this benefit. I've made this argument a million times on here, and you know how heated I get about it. This happens every year. Let's not act like there's like some magical world where every year before last season, the playoffs were perfect, injury-free, and with zero, debates. Let's look at Kevin Durant passing a ball in from out of bounds on a play that the refs didn't call. Rockets fans, that's why the Rockets didn't make the playoffs. That's why they didn't win the finals, right? You look at the Raptors championship. Warriors fans, well, if KD was here, this is this, right?
I have calls I can rattle off the top of my head that happened 10 years ago. How about Dwayne Wade fouling Rondo and not getting called for it in the conference finals? How about
Heat fans? If Bam Adebayo wasn't hurt in the finals, the Heat beat the Lakers. Something like this happens every season.
I still can't believe that. We're going down the road. I can't believe they made the finals in the bubble. I can't believe the Celtics fucked that up.
My point is, right, like, I saw, I forget who it was. A Celtics guy tweet about this too, right? Middleton was out for that playoffs. Absolutely. Let's not act like Smart wasn't hurt for one of those games. And let's not act like Robert Williams wasn't a shell of himself in that playoff series, right? We can talk about
in and out of the lineup, Robert Williams, shell of himself.
We can talk about at full health, but if you want to have Middleton in that series, you got to have a fully healthy Smart and Rob too, right? Like, let's not act like, and I've said this a million times as well. If Middleton's in that series, hell yeah, the Bucks could have won it. Absolutely. That's a huge difference. He's an all-star, right? But that doesn't completely discredit the Celtics. Like, let's not act like one player's absence completely discredits how good the Celtics were, right? And are the Sixers, have they been good this year? Hell yeah, they've been good. Embiid's an MVP candidate. Harden is reshaping his game to play next to Embiid. Tobias Harris is accepting his role as a third man more often. The Maxey situation's weird. I don't fully understand why he's coming off the bench, but that's besides the point, right? They're a good team. Could they figure it out this year? Hell yeah, they could, right? But everything in the past has told me that I can't trust them. And so I'm not going to until I see it with my eyes.
Yeah, I agree. Like,
right?
They lost to Miami last year in how many games? 5? 6?
Mm-hmm.
Miami, who I don't think was a good team. Celtics should have beat him in 5. Didn't. Should have beat him in 6. Didn't. And I mean, yeah, Embiid was hurt. It's a bad example. Like Sixers lost to the Celtics in 2018 when they were like overwhelming favorites in
Was
5
Embiid
games.
hurt the whole series?
I'm not sure.
Oh, he came back. He came back like half healthy, I think, midway through the series.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But they've just lost so. The only one that's like really like a heartbreaker for Philly, where they probably were the better team, or like that 2019 team, the Kawhi shot is like brutal.
Tough.
Like that team was really good. They were really deep.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was their best chance. Then Butler left, and they got Josh Richardson back for him, and Richardson didn't really pan out, and they got rid of him. And then the Celtics swept
This is
them.
probably this year, as we're talking, is probably their best team since that 2019 year.
Yeah, probably.
Which is why I said they have a chance, but they haven't shown.
The problem is the Celtics are nasty and the Bucks are nasty, and they're both head and shoulders above Philly to me.
And I'm not saying that they're on the same level, but you got a lot of other teams in the East too that are looking to compete. The Cavaliers are real good.
I think Cleveland's better than Philly.
That's a hot take.
That's because they beat the Celtics twice.
Sure,
but it's true.
Like I said,
I feel like Cleveland's really good. And Donovan Mitchell scares me more than Embiid does.
Oh no. I don't agree with that. I think the Sixers have the talent to win a championship, but I can't. I mean, she said it at the start of her thread. It's a results league, and if you don't get results, I'm not going to trust you to get them this year.
Yep, don't care.
No one trusted. Before the Celtics made the finals last year, you had people calling for them to break it up because they'd never made the finals.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like
that was a time.
And I don't agree with that, right? And no one's saying trade Embiid or trade this person or trade this person because the Sixers don't do it. And I guess you could argue that people did. People said, I guess people did say trade Simmons, and they did. But I don't know. And obviously, sure, is there an amount of Boston bias? Sure, but the Sixers have the Embiid Sixers have never beaten the Celtics in a playoff series, correct? They've lost twice.
They've won one game.
One game. They're 8. Celtics. Jayson Tatum was 8-1 against Philly in the playoffs.
Yep.
Philadelphia has never, under Joel Embiid, they've never made it past the second round, right?
This feels like we're going to be in a montage.
It might be. And if we could be, and this won't be a part of the montage because the Philly people will cut it out. But like I said, the Sixers have the talent to make it to the finals and win the damn thing this year, I think. But I don't trust them to do that because I haven't seen anything in the past for me to trust them to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It just
they have the talent.
Celtics should be able to at least go to the conference final. And if
I
they
think
don't,
in order,
it's a failure.
In order to win the finals, you need to have an MVP caliber player, an all-star caliber counterpart, and a bunch of good supporting pieces. I think the Bucks have that. I think the Sixers have that. I think the Celtics have that. I think the Cavaliers are borderline. Right? I think.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Out west,
that
I
analysis
think.
Is fair.
Yep. Out west, I think the Nuggets have that. I think the Grizzlies have that. I think the Suns have that. I think the Warriors have that. I think the Clippers have that when healthy. I think who am I? I'm listening off. Excuse me, a lot of teams here.
I think Jokic has the worst teammates because when you went through that, I'm like, I'm not really sure he has a really all-star caliber teammate. I haven't been paying that much attention to them.
Healthy.
I don't know how well
I think
Jamal Murray's played.
Aaron Gordon's playing at an all-star level this year. He's been stupid good. I think Jamal Murray, when healthy, can be. I think the Mavericks have that. Maybe I think maybe because I said great supporting cast too, and I debatable.
Still
right?
the fellas.
Yeah. Well, like I'll go down the list, right? Celtics, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, elite supporting cast, right? Clear. Bucks, Giannis, Drew Holiday / Chris Middleton, elite supporting cast, clear. Sixers, Joel Embiid, James Harden, great supporting cast, clear. Excuse me. Cavaliers, they have Mitchell. That's where I think it's borderline because I don't know if he's truly an MVP candidate.
True.
Right, because I think that's a debate. But Darius Garland, Jared Allen, elite supporting cast, right?
Their supporting cast might be just as good as Boston's. Maybe not. The bench
I think the
cloudy.
depth. Yeah, I think the depth gets a little questionable, but they're like, excuse me, sorry, I was trying to mute.
Their starting five is really good.
Yes, I think they're like their 3 through 7 is really good.
Mhm.
I don't think anybody else in the East has that. I think the next best thing you can find in the East is the Heat, but I just don't think they have the MVP caliber, and they've been able to circumvent this, sort of qualification that I'm laying out there by, the coaching and the great depth, but I just don't know if that'll be this year.
That's the craziest thing. I can't believe the Heat have been good. I really can't.
Good culture, man. And I know people mock Heat culture, but like you can't really deny it.
No, like they do crazy stuff there. Like good for them.
Shout out. And I'll give him his credit. In the playoffs, Butler turns into the MVP caliber player. He does. He deserves that credit, those flowers. But you look at the Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, then you have Aaron Gordon / Jamal Murray, and then a pretty good supporting cast out there. And I think they get away with having maybe less of the second star because of how dominant Nikola Jokic is. Like, hell, he might be in turn for his third MVP. He's been that good. He's been stupid, right? He's been dummy good. Everyone acts like you can't give him his third MVP because he's not this. Like, you got to treat it like a vacuum. He has been the MVP of the NBA this year. Like, it's so clear. It's so clear. It's more clear than his other 2 MVP cases.
It's hard for me to say not Tatum. But Tatum's cooled off.
He's averaging a triple-double on the best team in the West. And I know you can say Tatum's the best team in the NBA. It's a 1-game difference. Like,
it is.
It's Jokic, in my opinion. I think it's Jokic than Tatum, but it's Jokic.
There's going to be an interesting couple months because Tatum comes back after the All-Star break. Adam Taylor tweeted this every year and is just a monster.
True. He could make a good MVP case down the stretch here.
Like last year, he would have been the MVP if he didn't play like me for the first 3 months of the season or however many months.
Yeah. True. About continuing my qualifications for title contending, I think the Grizzlies are there. I think John Morant, Jaren Jackson / Desmond Bane and a great supporting cast. I think that's right there. And I think Ja is an MVP candidate. Or he's playing like it. He should be.
Ja is Derrick Rose.
Sure, yes. Did you see that tweet by StatMuse?
No, but I just that I've been saying that. Not that I'm like original or anything. Like I didn't hear that somewhere, but like I'm not the only person that says that probably. Like
I saw somebody, I think StatMuse tweeted that trying to imply like, how come John Morant's not getting MVP?
I hate that. Shut up, stupid. I saw somebody today tweet Luka in like those stats, and they were like, he's 5th in MVP, and Rose won the MVP. Derrick Rose led the Bulls to being the 1 seed in the East with basically not basically the fellas. Like Joakim Noah was a defensive player of the year candidate, if not the defensive player of the year that year. Like he had help, but like I don't know.
I have the perfect argument for you. Do you know Kenny, King of the Fourth Quarter?
Yes.
He retweeted it.
Well, also the stats are different.
Yeah, he retweeted it and it was like, okay, yeah, you want to compare those two? Here you go. Here's Michael Jordan's stats from his MVP season, and here's what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing this year. You can't compare stats between eras, and he's right. You can't.
You truly can't. And I hate when people do. Like, they'll like post like Kobe from 2006, and they'll be like, well, look at, I don't know, like this guy who's not even an all-star. Like,
exactly.
Like, shut up.
Anyways. Continuing to go down my list, I don't think the Kings are there. I think they're good and good for the Kings. I think they could win a playoff series, but
Kings
just don't have the stars.
Not scary. They are fun.
Yeah, they don't have the MVP candidate. I think the Clippers can be there when healthy. Kawhi, Paul George, elite supporting cast. Bless you, Sam. I think the Suns are there. KD, Devin Booker, solid supporting cast. It's gotten weaker, obviously, but it's there.
Dude, I cannot wait for the playoffs. I really can't. Like, I'm really excited. I'm actually probably going to watch games this year.
I think the Mavs are there. Luka, Kyrie, and a good supporting cast. Good enough. I think the Pelicans, maybe not there. I think a healthy Zion would put them there because he's an MVP candidate.
The Pelicans are fun, too. They're at the fun level, which is like the most insulting thing you can say about a good team.
And the last one, I think the Warriors can get there, but they just haven't shown it. Their supporting cast
running out of time. They are running out of time, and we're all sitting here waiting for it. I believe in them too. I'm a sucker just like everybody else. I'm waiting for them to start winning, and they're not. Curry's hurt still. He's not going to be back right away.
I don't think it's there, and you're going to hate me for it.
You're going to say Lakers?
I think a fully healthy Lakers. They fit the criteria. But I don't think they can this year.
Is the fellas, if you really want to.
It got a lot better at the trade deadline,
which isn't fair. I don't know how people keep letting them get away with this.
What do you mean?
Like how do teams keep letting them make trades to get quality pieces? Like, it's
I'll put
not
it
like
this
they
way,
were like Utah didn't even make them give up both draft picks.
Yeah, I don't get what Utah was doing there. But like my criteria, MVP candidate LeBron, All-Star Anthony Davis, and it's not at the level as most of the teams I've said, but D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Mo Bamba, Rui Hachimura. Like, it's not a bad supporting cast. It's all right. Lonnie Walker, like, it's not terrible. And they're not a title contender, I don't think, but they fit the criteria, which
I
is
really hope they miss
fair.
everything. It'll be the best because they don't even have their own pick.
They could. Imagine I really hope they get the number 1 pick. That'd be fire. Go
Oh,
Puck.
it would be the best
Cheers.
because then Wembanyama would go to New Orleans. He wouldn't be in the East. Actually,
Mhm.
that is low-key a threat if they expand. Like Memphis and New Orleans might come East if they add teams in Seattle and Vegas.
True. Yeah. That would suck. That would suck.
It'd be interesting.
How would that be interesting? That would make the East so much better than the West.
Well,
You're talking about taking the 2nd seed in the West and the 7th seed and putting them in
what's
in
today?
the East.
You don't know what it's going to be like then.
You're telling me in 3 years you don't think those 2 teams are going to be even
Is
better?
that when they're saying they're doing it?
I think in the next 5 years you'll get the teams.
No, 5 years and 3 years is a big difference.
I don't think
In
it's that
5
big
years, not a
difference.
single contract from right now will be active.
Well, yeah, but I think, I mean, if we're projecting, I think Ja and Zion will both sign supermaxes past their current deals.
Are they not on the rookie? They're still on the rookie deal, huh? Dumbass me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're
Are
young,
they
dude.
still on the rookie deal?
They just signed extensions this past summer, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So we'll be
fair.
right at the end of it, but still, they'll be good.
It'll still be interesting. Like
I think it'll be at the very end of their title.
Miami won't be
renewal
good in
with their current
5
team.
years. Miami will be bad.
Sure.
Who else will be bad? Philly's going to be bad.
Really?
Yeah, because Harden's not going to be there. He's going to get old.
True.
He might leave this season.
I see a
can't
lot of
believe
people see he's
this.
going to Houston. Yeah.
I can't believe the amount of traction that has. That he's going to go back to
Crazy.
Houston.
Well, it's
and it has
comfy
enough
there.
traction to where you have to be like, there's something there for people to be saying this.
Mm-hmm. Wild.
Like, why on earth would he go back to Houston right now?
It goes back to what
Other
I said.
than he really likes it.
He's comfortable there, and as crazy as it sounds, they could probably put like a playoff team around him.
No, they could.
like pretty quick,
Especially
right?
if they get a high pick. I don't know how many picks they have this year. I know they have. Do they have Brooklyn's pick this year?
I don't think so, but it wouldn't be good regardless. Like it'll be like a lottery or like a 20.
Brooklyn's pick won't be, but theirs could be.
Yes, but let's say they get Wembanyama, they could probably do like, first of all, Wembanyama, Şengün, Jaylen Green, James Harden is already a decent team. I would say pretty good. They'd have cap space, a little bit left over, not a ton, but they could sign like a good rotational player. Eric Gordon would be rolling in his grave in LA. He'd be pissed.
Finally got out of there.
And then past that, you could probably package like, I don't know, let's say those Brooklyn picks are pretty valuable, right? You get, and I'm not saying they should do this because like how much could you win with James Harden, but a package of like Kevin Porter Jr., some of another young piece or two, plus match salary with whatever you got, plus a couple of their future picks, a couple of Brooklyn's future picks. Like you get a star next to him, right? Like they could put a pretty good team around James Harden pretty quick.
Dude, I don't know. Philly's gonna be bad in a couple years. Washington has no hope.
They're in the depths. They're in hell.
Charlotte has no hope. Well, Charlotte has like minimal hope depending on the lottery.
Chicago,
Atlanta, I feel like doesn't have any hope.
Chicago, dumpster.
Chicago's on the decline. They're already bad.
Well, on the flip side, though, I think the Raptors.
Detroit will be
good
better.
again.
Orlando will be better. Like, yes.
I think Toronto could be good again with Scotty Barnes. They get the right piece in there. If they do things right with Scotty Barnes, I think Indiana is going to be sneaky, not bad. I think Indiana will be good with Tyrese.
That's going to be interesting. Their young players are good. The problem with Indiana is who's going to go there. If they want it. Now, they might have to do it through a trade.
Trade. Yeah, I think you could do a trade done.
It's interesting. I don't know. It's interesting to think about.
I think Brooklyn will be sneaky. Okay,
Celtics should still be good. Barring catastrophe, they should still be good.
I think New York could still be good.
I'm not convinced they're going. This may be as good as they get.
I think they could sneak into the top.
They're
four
paying. Actually, I don't know how long. How long is Randall's contract? It's next year.
I think
right?
4 years.
Oh, yeah.
He got an
They're
extension.
going to be bad. No, they're bad.
I think Brunson's good. I think RJ Barrett can improve. I think you got some decent young pieces there. Yeah, Randall's under contract through 25, 26. Player option the last year.
Tough. It's a tough.
Anyways,
contract.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, we went an hour and a half. Pull out the cards. Call it a day.
We'll do a few cards. I'm dying over here. Whew. Indigestion's killing me.
Jack
I've got like
rubbing his
heartburn.
chest.
I've got heartburn, man. It's killing me. All right, we only have. This is how many cards we have left.
Oh, we gotta find a new
Disaster.
game.
We do.
What are we gonna do?
All right, the current score 216 to 122. I'm getting double points now because I'm
Yes.
desperate. First card. Let's do this. Born October 17th, 1997 in Shreveport, Louisiana. I have my guess.
I know who it is.
It's Rob.
It's Rob.
It is Robert Williams. There we go. Banger off rip. That's perfect for me because I get double your points. Rip Bozo. All right, let's do it. 10 points for Jack. We'll catch up. I got to try to catch up. All right, next card. Born in New York City on October 9th, 1970. Yikes. I don't know.
I'm gonna guess.
No, I'm gonna be so pissed. All right, I'm going next because I need points. Played for Archbishop Malloy High School in New York City and was the first 4-time parade All-American since Lou Alcindor.
I'm like really like
Confident?
I'm pulling. This is like a showboat if I get this right.
Shit. Drafted second overall by the Nets in 91.
Oh dear, I got it right.
Spent 98 to 2002 with the Celtics.
Oh dear.
Should I know this?
Probably not.
Second by the Nets, 98 to 2002. Had a daughter with DJ Spinderella, Salt and Pepper, left-handed point guard who played 2 seasons for Bobby Cremins at Georgia Tech. Kenny Anderson.
Kenny
Oh,
Anderson.
Why did you pull that? Why did you know that?
I know he's
Off
from
rip.
New York. He's always like I always see him on Twitter. Like I know he's from there. I know he played for the Nets.
That's fucked up, man. That's fucked up. Next card. Born in Marietta, Georgia on October 24th, 1996. Do you know this?
Yeah, I know this.
Should I know this?
Yes.
Born in Georgia. Oh, is this Jaylen?
Yeah.
Okay, I always think Atlanta, so it threw me off that it wasn't Atlanta, but yes, it is. All right, there we go.
That would have been
Okay,
bad if you didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I know. All right,
You're up 5 on the day.
unfortunate, should be more. All right, next card. We're getting to the current players now. Founded the Blue Ribbon College Basketball Yearbook, the Bible of college basketball, while a student at the University of Kansas in 81. Hey. I immediately thought Paul Pierce, but that doesn't line up. I don't know.
I don't know who it
No
is.
idea. Helped the Celtics reach their first Eastern Conference Finals in 14 years when he acquired Tony Delk and Rodney Rogers from Phoenix at the 2002 trade deadline. Oh, so it's dude. This is pre-Danny GM. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. I don't know who it is.
Replaced Jerry West as general manager and president of basketball operations as the Grizzlies in 2007. I don't know.
No idea.
Replaced in 2003 by Ainge, who was hired as the Celtics for the GM job. I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't help. We knew that.
Served as GM.
We know
of
how
the
time
Celtics.
works.
GM of the Celtics from 97 to 2003 without ever playing or coaching in the league. I don't know. Do you know?
No, I have no idea.
Chris Wallace would never have gotten that. No clue. All right. One more. Is this 5?
One more. This is that.
Is this
Yeah,
the fourth card?
This would be 5.
Is this the 5?
Yeah, because we had Rob, Kenny Anderson, Jaylen Brown, Chris Wallace.
Okay. Inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2019. I know we've had Ray Allen, we've had KG.
Pierce was like 2 years ago, wasn't him?
Mm-hmm. I need to go
know.
next because I need points. 5-time All-Star who won a title as a member of the 74 Celtics. Okay, so I'm glad we didn't pull. I don't know though. I'm thinking we go next. Thoughts next?
Hold on, the wheels are turning.
No. Sam is a killer for the audio platforms. Sits here. I have to fill a dead air.
No, nothing. I don't have anything.
Selected 10th overall by the Celtics in 1972. Doesn't help me. That doesn't help me.
5-time All-Star.
Yep.
Already had that guy though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh man,
I feel like I should know, but I don't. So I'm okay with it. You're gonna be pissed though. I haven't seen it. I just know
I'm gonna be mad if the only thing
Can I go to 2 points?
Is I think I already had this person.
Can I go to 2 points?
Yeah.
After leaving USC, played from 72 to 86 in the NBA, and then, including college and pro hoops, spent 85 to 2016 as the head coach
Of USC.
It doesn't say. It's just like he played college ball at USC. Or as a coach, not a head coach. He was a coach.
I don't know.
1 point, served as head coach of 3 teams, the Suns, Sonics, and Kings between 92 and 2012.
Suns, Sonics, Kings.
Suns, Sonics, Kings.
In 2012.
2012 Kings. Is it not George Karl? He didn't play in the NBA, right? Did he play? Not for the Celtics.
I'm guessing Paul
I don't
Westphal.
think. It is Paul Westphal. I wouldn't have gotten that, so I just looked. There you go.
Man.
All right.
That was like a half guess, but I wasn't certain.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had no clue. I wasn't going to get that. All right. Well, I think I am up by like 4 points on the day because of my double. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Kept it under 100.
I was so mad. I thought I was going to have a perfect day. I got the first 3 on the 5.
There you go. Tough. Chris Wallace was a killer. I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the name. I just didn't know.
I had no idea. Anyways, I finished my tea almost this episode. Right. So there you go. And yeah, I think that'll do it. This was my flu game. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. As usual, my one plug, sub to the YouTube. Thank you very much. Check that out.
We're getting up
there. We are getting up there. We're going. The pods have been doing real well. Developing a little community there. We appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. So go sub to How About Them Celtics on YouTube. Thank you very much.
I agree. Thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're watching, you are on YouTube, like Jack has asked you to be. You can subscribe, leave a like, leave some comments for us. We appreciate all the love. We've been doing well lately. If you're not watching, that's okay. You might have the little dead spots like Jack referenced a minute ago, but what are you going to do? Make sure you follow us on whatever streaming service you are using. Leave a nice review, 5 stars, whatever it may be. You can follow us if you want more.
Oh, sorry. I saw this the other day. If you're listening on Spotify, or if you're a part of our YouTube community and you hear this, leave a rating on Spotify. It apparently helps. You have to you have to click the 3 dots under the podcast, hit leave rating, and then leave a rating. So a lot of steps. I saw it. Go check Spotify. You can hit the 3 dots. You can click leave a rating. You can leave us 5 stars, and it helps. So if you're listening and you haven't done that, even if you don't listen on Spotify, go over there, check it out, leave us a rating if you like us.
I might do that right now.
Yes.
But if you want more of us, at How About Them C's, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, we're on Facebook. How About Them Celtics podcast and SeatGeek. Promo code HBTC. Save $20 on your first purchase. Let us help you go see what you want to see. Get a little discount on the fellas. You can follow Jack at Jack Simone NBA. He's doing all kinds of good work for Celtics blog, doing good work at Heavy. You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA for the occasional picture of me sick. That's it for us. Bye.
Taco, come on.
Taco's